Everyone attacks me with glitter.
Really?
Yeah.
Just in your life. Hi, I'm Christina. Welcome to The Void with Christina. Here is Zen from Ne Obliviscaris, who is returned at his first live gig in what?
Over 4 years.
Over 4 years. So it's exciting to have you back.
Well, actually, it's not the first live gig. It's the third show of first tour.
It's good to hear new music from you guys.
Yes.
First time in 6 years. That's
Yes.
exciting.
It has been quite some time.
Yep. And is it Equus? Am I saying it wrong?
Well, there's a debate in the band. I call it Equus.
It's had 1 million streams. Which
Yes.
is big, yeah, which is
It's
kind
not-
of mental.
It's not too bad.
No, it's-
It's reassuring that people are actually listening.
Well, people are connecting with it, and it's, you know, that's private.
Yeah.
Streaming is private. It's what we do, what we
Yes.
have on repeat. Not everyone would share their on repeat list.
No?
I don't necessarily think I would.
No, I wouldn't either.
No, it's just, I really like the lyrical stuff, and I wanted to know, does it visually come to you? Does it come to you in a holistic way? Like, do you see like a bunch of like karmic wheels and infernos and stuff, or is it a storyline, or does it come to you in a dream, or how does it work?
With me, because I'm inspired by history and old art, architecture, literature, things like that, a lot of it is me trying to describe, it's almost like a moving painting. That's how I like to describe things.
That's
it's
cool.
somewhat of an abstract way I talk about things. There's always a meaning, and there's always other meanings, even some personal stuff for myself within these paintings, but the overall picture is meant to present certain things, basic things for people.
Yeah.
And the layers and layers underneath are, I guess a bit more personal for me.
Yeah, and you like Hieronymous Bosch, like hiding little animals,
Yes.
little humans
Yes.
in all the things.
Yeah, and so when
so you can get more detail of it.
Yeah.
You can choose to have more detail, or
Yeah, it's like when you listen to music, say if you listen to us, each time you listen to it, you might hear another layer or something else that might come through. And even with the artwork that I do for album covers, I kind of make it a bit more, it's not as, say, complex as Bosch or something like that, but I add little details, so, you'll get, when online you'll see the image of the cover as what it is, but then if you have a larger copy or you zoom in, you'll be able to find other details, and there's like, maybe people with extra fingers, or there's different things.
So
which
you
different
do
meanings.
have a little secret Bosch vibe. You've got little secret animals.
He's one of my favourite artists.
Really? Yeah, I love talking about art.
Yeah.
Art is the best.
Art is. I think more people should appreciate it. They should go to more galleries.
Yes. How do you know when a song is done?
That's a very good question. There's 6 people in the band, and 6 people have to agree that it's done.
Okay.
And lyrically, it has to feel right.
Yeah.
For me, because I write my parts as well as Tim.
Yep.
And I write my lyrics slightly different. I have to think maybe a little lighter for Tim in terms.
You can't have doom and destruction.
No. It all depends, but it's for me it needs to feel right. Like for me, I'm quite a visual person, but even when it comes to words, it needs to be visual for me. So I need to find it visually pleasing as well, how the phrasing has been placed and what it looks like.
How, like on the page?
Yes.
Wow. Yeah. It has to be pleasing on the page.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. I don't know. It's one of my.
It's one of your idiosyncrasies.
Yes.
It's one of your little things, which is exciting. Did you do it differently this time? I mean, you had a 6-year break. How did you evolve in between those records?
I think between the records, I think we were all affected by different things, and some of lyrics I'd written prior to the pandemic, and some I'd written going through it.
Yeah.
And so I think overall there's a darker undertone that goes through the album.
Like the world.
Like the world.
There's a darker undertone to the world.
There is, and it puts you in a different headspace, and when you've got more time to stew on things, sometimes that's a bad thing, sometimes it can be good, so it depends on how you use that time and space. And for me, I think it was good because I got to think things through a little bit more and digest the music more, because our music's not necessarily initially not that easily understandable to me.
It's not that easily understandable.
No, I mean, I'm not much of a prog person at all.
At all?
No.
You're like a prog. I want to say like icon, and you could be a prog icon. Yeah. Do you want to be an icon?
No.
You're a cornerstone of the progressive metal scene.
Sure.
You can be a corner. Can you be a stone?
I can be a stone.
You can be a stone.
One of the small stones.
A stone, yeah.
I don't listen to most prog music at all. I don't relate to it on an emotional level.
Yeah.
So it doesn't.
You like darker stuff?
I like much darker stuff.
Yeah.
With the prog stuff, it's to me, I appreciate all the musicians and that sort of thing. I think it's amazing at what they can do.
Yes.
But I don't connect with it.
Interesting.
And I connect with like things like sloppy black metal, where it's all about feeling.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if you can't hear every note of every instrument.
Yeah.
It's just because all those elements are there to just add something to the overall sound, and that's what I get out of it.
Yeah.
I need to feel the music.
Yeah. Rather than I suppose some of prog just is kind of celebrating technique.
Yes, and
rather than emotion.
Yeah, there is an audience. I mean, some people may get emotion out of that.
Yeah.
Because we all relate to.
Well, 100%. And there's definitely people that I've spoken to today who have emotional and jump on the bed. Yeah. They do all sorts of things. Yeah.
Sure. But yeah, I mean, we get attracted to a lot of stuff with dark. For me, it's always the darker stuff, the sadder stuff, the things, because I find more depth in that.
Yeah, it's soothing as well. There's something honest about it, because sadness is a part of life.
That's right.
And if you don't kind of understand that, you aren't really living properly.
That's correct.
Happiness is not. Happiness is not, and it's not a static state.
No.
No one is existing in happiness.
No.
That's just not a thing.
You're probably on drugs.
Yeah, you're probably on drugs, and that's maybe why there is an opiate crisis in America. Because people would rather be on drugs than sad.
That's actually an interesting point.
That's my solution for the opioid crisis. Just be comfortable with being sad.
Comfortable with being sad. That should probably be like a shirt.
It should be. I'm comfortable with being sad. It's important.
Yeah.
Great things happen when you're sad. Like, you can make really good art.
Actually, well, that's exactly right.
Yeah,
I mean,
you can be very productive, and I value productivity high.
Yeah, it's whether you can channel that.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So how did you spend the darkest days of the pandemic?
For the most part, I quite enjoyed the pandemic.
Of course you did, you big goth.
Because it was just quiet.
Yep.
It was, I mean, there are certain elements which obviously people dying, that sort of thing was, sad and unfortunate. But the isolation and all those sorts of things, I found, I just embraced all that.
Yeah.
The quietness.
Do you write a lot?
I write, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you write a lot every day?
Not every day,
Yeah.
because sometimes you need to step away from it because you get stuck in a cycle of thinking, and when you do that, you think about the same things, and so you need to take a step away from it. It's like, it's like anything, you lose perspective.
Yeah.
When you're constantly doing it, so you need to step away from it and come back with a fresh mind.
Totally.
And have another go with a different, perhaps, angle.
Yeah. How was writing for this album?
Writing for this album was, it was quite here and there because, everyone went through a fair bit, as with everyone else in the world.
Everyone had some dark days.
Yeah, and so between myself and Tim, we were kind of working out some things and throwing ideas around, and I was feeding him lyrics now and then to get him through it. So it was, so now and then, I'd send things to Tim and, he'd eventually get around to trying things out, and then, he'd send back and I'd maybe rearrange some things a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the most part, I think it was, kind of almost therapeutic in a way to have that kind of bit by bit here and there to keep me still kind of in tune with what the band was doing, and also have my own space.
Yeah.
Other. mayhem.
Well, you're kind of, I guess, like talking about like being into music for emotion, not necessarily technical prowess. That maybe that's a limitation of some prog.
Yes.
Is that they're very technically gifted singers, but not very. They're just very technically gifted singers, which is kind of can be quite boring.
It can be. I mean,
not always. No. I shouldn't diminish. Talent is great.
No, talent is amazing.
Talent is great, and technique, and I respect it, but it's not necessarily. Yeah, give me a. I don't know, something a bit more violent.
That's right.
Yeah.
Violence.
Just a bit more violence.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because the musicians in my band, they're all incredible players, all like prog music and that sort of thing. And I'm kind of the black sheep in a way.
Outlier.
And
you're the outlier.
Yes, I'm the outlier.
Yeah.
I've learned. I mean, it's made me a better musician by working with technically amazing musicians.
Yeah, totally.
And you know, I grew up on sloppy black metal, and there was no precision in it, and everything.
It's a mess.
Yeah.
It's a glorious mess.
That's part of the glory.
It's like those old stuff that sounds like it was recorded on a garbage can.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, when Neo first started, we were recording on a tape player. Like
Really?
The room audio there's some of the sounds, old school black metal sounding.
Yeah.
I have some somewhere that I'll have to find. It's on cassette.
I think someone would really like them. Fans would really like them.
Yeah. Well.
They don't. Well. Yeah.
But
prog dudes.
Yes, prog dudes. But and it's because I have the worst timing in the band because I didn't grow up with a musical education, and the rest of them, they're like metronomes, and for me,
that's hilarious.
Yeah, they're all human metronomes.
Yeah,
and it changes my way of thinking about approaching the music.
Can they just follow you?
No, they can't. It would be
awesome, hey. It's just like, can you just follow me?
It would be interesting. I mean, if I mixed our album, it'd be a fucking mess.
It would be an awesome mess, but it'd be glorious. It'd be a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
When did you kind of like I'm here for one date. You're on the first Australian tour. Do you remember when things started to really happen for you in Australia?
I mean, we had sort of an undergrowing. Undergrowing, yes. Kind of small, kind of following based off our demo, and then it wasn't. When we released our first album, Portal of Eye, we had quite a big audience growing from that. But I don't think it was until we released our album Citadel that everyone thought, oh, okay, so they can follow up the first album with another good album. So it kind of almost solidifies that, you can almost be accepted to an extent, and then, festivals start booking you and all this sort of stuff. So it's, but I mean, we've had so many highlights in our career, it's hard to say defining moments.
Like a breakthrough kind of,
I don't think necessarily...
I suppose it swings and roundabouts always,
but at the same time, I don't necessarily feel like we've broken through. It's like you have bands on this level, you have bands on this level, and then there's this almost utopia on top of that where...
The 0.1%.
Yeah.
I was talking to, I was on a festival tour once and I was talking outside the hotel with Avenged Sevenfold's tour manager. Yeah. And he's just like, they are part of the 0.01%. Like most bands, and for some reason, that particular band broke through. And like Parkway Drive, headline Hellfest. Yeah. It's just interesting.
Yeah.
What this strange, and it's kind of hard to get in the headliner club.
It is.
When like a band that isn't 50.
No, that's right. Yeah. And I mean, I guess every band kind of wants to get to a certain level and be able to, live off their music and do that as their job. But, every band struggles, and it's, it's, I don't know, it's being that 1%. 1% is just, if we perhaps get there one day,
it'd be awesome.
It'd be great. But if we don't, it'll still be great.
It's still, it's still making great stuff, and
we're still progressing.
And connecting.
That's right. Because it's not pop music. You're never going to be, you know,
Cardi B.
Cardi B. I'm still getting over the trauma.
It's disturbing.
It sends a terrible message, I think.
Or did you understand any of the lyrics?
No.
Okay.
With pop music, you know, there's certain levels you can get to. With metal, I think there's an understanding with most bands that there's an expectation that you will never get there. But I think inherently a lot of metal musicians work really hard, regardless of where they think they'll get.
100%.
So many sacrifices along the way. Like we've been a band for 20 years.
That is wild.
I started the band in 2003.
Holy, yeah, how is that? Well, yeah, my youth is flashing before my eyes.
Yes.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
And so when you prioritize the band for 20 years, there are so many sacrifices along the way that you make as a musician.
Yeah.
Well, not only a musician, I'm a metal musician, which is that much. Well, I personally think
it's like making, I can kind of relate, like making metal content for a long time.
Yes.
I made a lot of ridiculous
small
choices. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's like this whole, but it's such a great audience.
Yes, I find the metal audience is far more appreciative of things, and even when you
they care.
Yes, they do, and I guess most metal musicians are in some way outcasts in a sense, and I think that kind of there's this underlying kind of support in the scene of, sure you'll have your outliers, but we don't
have to live like that.
No, I think there's a bigger support than you would perhaps find in other genres.
How would you define a Neo fan?
A Neo fan. I think to enjoy our music, not to sound pretentious at all, but I think there's a certain level of intellect that people listening to our music have and can appreciate what we do. Also, there's an element of being socially awkward, as we mentioned before, which I think comes down to perhaps the intelligence. Being more of
they're brainy.
More of a book or
brainy weirdos.
Yeah.
I really like just progressive music, so like Ne Obliviscaris ticks all the boxes.
Love the bass lines.
You know, you got fast drumming.
Happy, intense. I also just find their lyrics really interesting to read and unpack when I'm looking at a new song.
What a bunch.
Yeah. So it is hard, but you could potentially. It depends on what album, maybe.
Yeah, that's true. You could. Which one is the Idiots album?
The Idiots album. Well, I don't want to say our demo.
The Idiots Neo album, the album for idiots. If you've gone in on this, I question your IQ.
Like, it was far more black metal or whatever.
Yeah.
Because you do have people like, it's fine if you enjoy that. But we get people comparing, because with some of our the songs we had on our demo, it was a 3-track demo, the Aurora Vow, are on the album, Portal of Eye.
And they're different.
And they're done different. I sing slightly different, like more death metal vocals as opposed to black metal vocals, and it's a lot rawer, and etc. So you do have those people that say, oh yeah, the demo was incredible.
Yeah.
But then most people are stuck on, well, I won't say most people, because we tend to have a good range of people that appreciate
the catalogue.
The catalogue.
Yeah.
But Portal of Eye is, you always have those people that their first album was their best.
Yeah. What are you going to do?
Oh, it's, you can't do anything. You just make another album. That's
What about Graal? Is it Graal?
Graal, yeah.
Yeah. Tell us a bit, is there an untold story about that song?
Well, Graal is ultimately kind of another word, well, it means grail.
Like Holy Grail?
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's what I refer to it within the song. Grail, it's an old word that, for like either a cup or a bowl or whatever, but in this I refer to it as like a Holy Grail, and that's kind of someone seeking their kind of inner worth ultimately.
Yes.
And then pending how they find that inner worth as to how they may react. But that's an untold element as to whether or not you react in a positive way or a negative way.
Isn't worth inherently good?
Well, there's, when you've got...
Or in essence.
If you've got ego, you've got all these other things that can kind of ultimately change the direction you may follow.
Yeah, that's true. It's complex. I guess it's just going inwards.
Yeah, going inwards, and I think with Exile, with the album itself, a lot of the songs deal with isolation and that sort of thing,
Yeah.
and kind of even self-exploration.
Yeah.
And so, an exile in itself means an exile.
What's the best thing you've learned in isolation?
Oh, that's a very good question.
That's a big question.
That's a big question.
I haven't looked at these.
I applaud you.
Yes. It's more interesting this way.
The best thing I've learned in isolation is not necessarily what I learned, because I like learning a lot about diseases and pandemics and that in it.
Just in your own free time.
I have books and books on the plague and
Yeah.
things like that. Because it's what
He's a plague
interests
guy.
me.
He's a plague
I'm
guy.
a plague guy.
Yeah.
I mean, one of my other bands, Antiqua, is actually named after.
A plague.
Well, it's
The plague?
first biovar strain.
The big plague.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
You're a
and
plague guy.
I'm a plague guy. I mean, that's pretty obvious too. I guess some of our fans.
You got a vibe. Yeah.
But with that, it kind of reinforced some of my thoughts about
Yeah.
the general public and the world, in how because I'm quite interested in human behaviour
Yeah.
and how people react to certain situations, and it kind of just, I guess, reinforced that, inherently, as a herd, people are frustratingly.
Ignorance is in a world of information. I read this great quote. In a world where information is limitless, ignorance is a choice,
Yeah.
and it's a choice a lot of people are making.
Yeah.
We could learn anything.
Yes.
We could go and learn 16 instruments and Ableton and how to knit a scarf and it's all there.
Yeah.
But most of us choose to consume and
Yeah.
not think that hard.
No, and it's kind of, I got to the point where I was hardly on social media, and
Because it was too dumb.
it was just dumb.
Yeah.
And I now don't use social media.
Yeah? You've worked out a way to live beyond it?
Yeah, for years and years I was thinking I really can't, I do it because I need to help promote what I do.
Yeah.
But it came to a point where it was like I needed to find peace with, letting that element go and just focus on me and being
An artist?
Being a
artist?
person.
Being an
and
artist,
so,
yeah.
and then I had, all these people kind of trying to message me or whatever, saying, what's happened, blah, 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 blah. It's
Why
just
even
like,
visible? Yeah.
yeah, and I'm just done with social media. I can't. Every time I went on, I just got angry and frustrated, and it's just negativity.
It's annoying.
Yeah.
It's just, if I didn't have stuff to done, I probably wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I mean,
you have stuff to done, but you just hands.
but I mean, I'll find other ways to help.
Yeah, get the word out.
Yeah, but I'll do it in my way, on my terms.
And I think that's important.
And I don't want to be sucked into that vacuum of.
Yeah.
But each to their own. I understand some people are on there because they need that social interaction and exposure and that sort of thing. But I can't do that because inherently I'm quite an introverted person, so I can't stomach being out there all the time.
Yet you have this quite visceral experience of being a live musician.
Yes, worst decision I ever made.
Yeah, it's hilarious for an introvert.
Yes.
Get up on stage, be the absolute center of attention, write all the words, so people reading your words. Yeah, you're a liar. You're a secret ambivert. You're a secret ambivert.
I can't see. Most of the time when I'm on stage, I mean, it was the worst decision to be a singer as an introvert.
Yep.
Most of the time, I'm on stage. I'm in my own world. I hardly see the crowd.
Yeah,
for the most
you're
part.
connected, disconnected.
Yeah, because I'm kind of lost, trying to because the lyrics I write are important to me, and the music adds to the feeling of that, and it's kind of all encompassing for me. And it's kind of my own personal experience almost. I'm kind of
They just
almost
happen to
in
be
my
there.
yeah. I mean, I appreciate all the bands.
Please come. Please come. They're touring. They're touring the States really soon. It's please come.
And but I find that works for me, and that kind of works for the band because we are such a different band. Because we have, Tim is quite, he's more of a. He's jazz hands. He's more of a
classical animal.
Yeah, he's an extrovert person. He loves working with the crowd. He likes to shine.
He's got a lion element.
He does.
He's even got like the mane.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, you got kind of, and you could be like a panther thing. Yeah. He has total lion energy.
He does.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yes, but yeah, Tim is. I guess because Tim and I are quite different. I mean,
Polar opposite almost.
Yeah, he came 6 months after I started the band, and so we've pretty much been a unit for 20 years.
Yeah.
And so even though we're completely different in every single way, I mean that literally.
Every single way.
Everything.
But you understand each other.
But we understand each other and how we work in terms of we agree on how we approach the band and move the band forward, and we've always done that, and because we have a mutual understanding of that, that's why we've been here for 20 years, and we haven't, disbanded or whatever.
I suppose it's all about understanding.
Yeah.
Because we're all different.
We are. Yeah. There's a level of understanding and then acceptance of that person. And
like you wouldn't want to be in a band with 5 U's.
No.
That'd be difficult.
There'd be a lot of fun.
Can you imagine that? I mean, not to hate on you or anything.
No. I mean,
I wouldn't want to be in a band with 5 me's.
No, I couldn't.
I wouldn't want to be in a crew with 5. That'd be terrible. That's what the beauty is of this band and this music. The bringing together of the alchemy of different elements.
Yeah, 6 completely different individuals.
100%. Yeah.
So
it's a beautiful thing.
But yeah, we all have that common understanding, and that's kind of what makes us who we are.
Yeah. What can we expect live? I'll throw in a really prescriptive question at the end.
Yeah. What can we expect live? We can expect. The shows that we've been doing is a little bit of an upgrade from the shows we've done in the past. We're working with, for the most part of our kind of career, we've done everything ourselves for setting up stage and all those sorts of things. We've only travelled around with like a sound person. And so we've got a few extra hands to help us with everything, and then production, extra lights and whatever else. So just to make it a little bit more special, and when you're at the Forum, you kind of need to be a bit more special.
It's a bit more elevated.
And so it's kind of, we're trying to progress in our career and kind of introduce elements to see what works, what doesn't.
Yep.
And to, see, how we can improve every element of.
Well, it's good to bring it. Yeah, it's good to bring. Well, I think Parkway Drive threw all their money at Pyro.
Yeah, Tim and I have had long discussions about Parkway Drive.
Yeah, because they just went, let's just spend all our money on Pyro.
Yeah. I mean, Tim and I were discussing the cost.
I mean, it's awesome. Like, it's fun to watch.
It's great. But yeah, we were discussing Pyro for Neo, and it's kind of an element that we're not entirely sure that would suit our vibe. But we looked into the cost.
It's interesting, hey.
Yeah,
a glitter cannon.
Yeah, no. Glitter. Everyone attacks me with glitter.
Really?
Yeah.
Just in your.
Just in my inboxes, on my birthday, just on me.
Really?
Yeah.
Stop assaulting him with glitter. Actually, bring glitter to the meet and greets. Just assault him. It'd be very funny.
Oh.
It'd be a delight.
I'll be a disco ball on stage.
He is a disco ball. Yeah. I think it's a good place to wrap up. You are a disco ball.
Sure.
Disco ball, Ne Obliviscaris.
No.